It's 6:30. We're going to call this special meeting of the Chavano Park City Council to order. Without objection, we'll dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. There being no citizens be heard, brings us to item number 4, City Council comments. Without objection, we'll dispense with City Council comments. Brings us to item number 5, agenda items. Item number 5.1, public hearing, proposed annual operating and capital budget fiscal year 2024-25. It is now 6:30. In a few seconds. Bill?
Good evening, Council. This will be relatively brief. I've got one supporting slide, but just to remind you, we've been working through the FY 24-25 budget since May. We've had numerous workshops. We've got input from a number of stakeholders associated with that. And you'll recall at the last workshop, we went into, actually special meeting workshop, we went into some detail in terms of the city manager's budget, changes from the city manager's budget. We then voted on a tax rate, had further discussion. And so what I want to do today is just summarize the changes that have occurred in the budget from there. Next slide. So essentially we had some changes in total revenues from BCAD, but we balanced those out with expected revenue drops in certain areas. So we have no change in revenues or expenditures. We've adjusted a few individual lines, and I'm thinking it was about the $10,000 mark here and there. So there was give and take on various revenue and expense items. That's the bottom line. No real significant change from the last time you were presented this. Now in the water utility, working with our engineer of, not the engineer of record, but our engineer that's the SAWS expert, water tank expert, Leonard Young. He has estimated the cost to repair that water tank, the water storage tank, at $150,000. We can have the old one disposed of and a brand new one installed for about $160,000. So we are going to the Water Advisory Committee on Monday. We're going to be briefing them on that. And what we've done is we've included a change in the budget because we estimated the repair cost too low. And now that repair cost is up to the cost of buying a new one. And to summarize that, we're going to ask vendors, we have a couple of them that are on buy board, to evaluate whether we can increase the size from 110 to 120 with the cost. We'll be bringing that to you at some point in time. The variable frequency drive we've reduced from 100,000 to 80,000, and all that difference is made up by fund balance reserves. The Crime Control Fund, we increase expenditures to include the purchase of a large drone as you all directed, and we balanced that budget. No change to that. We took the Cliffside Monument from ARPA funds to the beautification funds, so it's a wash in terms of the cost. It's a placeholder, but different funding for that. And again, the American ARPA funds, the last expenditure of ARPA funds, we've added the additional security camera views on the City Hall and the Pavilion, artificial intelligence and two-factor authentication, IT security software, as well as the International Building Code publication, so we can update that in the next couple months. That's the only change from the previous 2 times we've briefed the budget.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Are there any citizens to be heard? There being no citizens to be heard, it is now 6:34. The public hearing portion of this meeting is adjourned. It brings us to item number 5.2, discussion action ordinance number 2024-009, approving and adopting a budget for the city of Chavano Park, Texas for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025, making appropriations for each fund and department, establishing a sinking fund for existing city financial obligations, providing for the levying and collection of a sufficient tax to pay the interest on such sinking fund obligations, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing a savings and severability clause, and declaring an effective date. This is the first reading. Bill?
I updated the city manager's letter. We added some charts for visual, but no other change other than it's been outlined.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-009, approving and adopting a budget for the city of Chavano Park, Texas for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025, making appropriations for each fund and department, establishing a sinking fund for existing city financial obligations, providing for the levying and collection of a sufficient tax to pay the interest on such sinking fund obligations, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing a savings and severability clause, and declaring an effective date. Conrad, do you have a motion?
Motion to approve said ordinance.
We have a motion from Conrad. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second from Maggie. We're now open for discussion. Do we have any discussion? There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Item 5.3, public hearing, proposed fiscal year 2024-25 tax rate. It is now 6:36. Bill?
Next slide. This is a summary of the tax rate comparison. We've briefed this to you a number of times. As you know, the proposed to be adopted tax rate is going to increase a half a cent this year, as outlined in the budget, and all that revenue will be allocated towards debt basically in support of the street bond that we've approved 2 years ago. So we're well under the voter approval rate, the de minimis tax rate. We've included in here the total debt obligation of the Chavano Park secured by property taxes is a little over $11.5 million. And anyway, you are voting on the proposed tax rate, property tax rate.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Are there any citizens to be heard? There being no citizens to be heard, it is now 6:37. The public hearing portion of this agenda item is now closed. Item 5.4, discussion proposed fiscal year 2024-25 tax rate announced. Meetings to adopt the fiscal year 2024-25 tax rate. Brenda?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we have I have it on the agenda for September 16th at 6:30 to approve the fiscal year 24-25 tax rate as previously presented.
Okay, and public notice has been provided?
Yes, sir, it has. It's been published in the newspaper as well as on our website.
Okay. This is a discussion item. We'll open it up for discussion. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns at this time? There being no discussion, brings us to item number 5.5, a discussion action update on street phase 1, street reconstruction projects. Curtis?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So on the bond-funded project that we term as Phase 1A, they've been putting the first lift of asphalt on Saddle Tree, and that is a big final step there, and the only last parts of the 5 cul-de-sacs. They are starting curb work on that this week. I'm going to talk a little bit about the curb work. Asphalt in there is probably likely within 1 to 2 weeks, and by late September, that final lift of asphalt, there's still that 1 inch on all of Cliffside and Saddle Tree should hopefully be done. So by October, this project will be largely wrapped up. We'll be doing small things. So we're nearing the end of this. So where we're sitting as we're nearing the end of the project financially, again, you've obligated contractually about $7.6 million of the $10 million. About 2.3 was left uncommitted. We've earned a nice $760,000 interest income. You can see all those numbers here, but the bottom line is we have $4 million in unspent, around $4 million in unspent bond monies, of which $3.1 million has been uncommitted to any project. You can see there, of what you committed, about $1 million is so left, which will be fully spent out as we're wrapping up this project. We still got $3.1 million. So as a part of that, and that number, that was the change order of 162, you can see up there, includes this $79,000 proposal. It's on the 5 cul-de-sacs, And as we realized in that neighborhood, and I'll have some pictures that will explain this a lot better, but the tie-in is a mountable curb which causes about a 4-inch jump. And I have some pictures here. It's to replace, not do mountable curbs, but actually do a smooth transition. As a part of that, they would reconstruct about 3 feet of the driveway, not as extensive as we were doing on East Side North Military. It takes care of several different issues. It takes care of, you have concrete joints that are too close together. It takes care of existing concrete that is just old and degraded as they cut it and it all breaks apart. So here are some pictures of and this is on Elm Spring. So you can see this is a mountable curb it's about 4 inches, and this is what we're not wanting to do, but instead do a smooth. There's not that jump. Over here, you can see a resident just like that, and they actually cut away some of the mountable curb and put in extra concrete to try to smooth that out, and it's chipping away. And you can see the poor condition of that concrete, sorry. And so that's what this change order does to all the 31 driveways in the cul-de-sac project area. It would reconstruct them to have a smoother and just better product for the residents.
Yeah, and so what, it was brought up by the street inspector and the contractor, and subject matter experts met. I got a unanimous recommendation that we need to proceed to do this, or we're going to cause a lot of other issues by not, not taking care of this 3 feet.
Okay. And of course, the reason we're not going in the 10 feet that we did in the old section is because the 10 feet is in the easement that is unimproved, and so we needed to connect people's property lines with where the road, to the road. And that's why we went in extra distances over there. Question before I entertain a motion: a budget amendment will be forthcoming on this?
Right, we have it budgeted, but it's a fairly large change order. We want to make sure you all were informed of it. We have our budget for this year was, generally speaking, enough to do a lot, or all the project, and the same thing with next year's. And this will be in next year's budget, where we have actually budgeted the remainder of the funds. We're probably not going to use them all, but we have it covered in the budget.
Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve reconstruction of approximately 3 feet as they approach to residential driveways and the cul-de-sacs. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion from Pete. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Buddy. We're now open for discussion. There being no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Brings us to item number 6. Do we have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Lee has made a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Maggie has seconded the motion to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned.